How did you do yesterday?
I finished in 3 hours and 44 minutes, and I crossed the finish line about 17 minutes before the first explosion. And I was in the third wave. I was running with a charity, so we were way, way at the back. So normally I would have been done, long gone, probably in my hotel having coffee. And it turns out my wife, who's run the marathon as well, was watching. She was on the side of the road where the explosion happened, and I went up to her as I finished and talked to her, and then kept running. And then when the explosion happened, she was probably about 10 yards away. And I didn't know exactly where the explosions were, so I talked to the runners as I came in and said, what side of the road was it on? And they said, well, as you're coming in, it was on your left. And I knew that's where she was. She was going to be walking that direction. So I was pretty shook up waiting to hear from her. Of course, cell phone service didn't work for a while, but then I finally got a voicemail from her, and I could tell from the sound of her voice that she was extremely excited, but she was running away. And we recreated today from the pictures she took and from the map of where the explosions were, that she was standing, a friend of ours, we're very close to where the second explosion was. And when they finished, they started walking, and they were almost to where the first one happened. They turned around and went the other way, and the second one happened, so they bailed out on Hickory Street and went away from Wilson Street. So I was kind of far away from them. I was about 150 yards from the explosion. Anyway, so it was a pretty interesting day for us. But that was my third time to run Boston, and I hope to come back next year. Come back renewed, and not sort of like this kind of thing as a runner.
I'm impressed at how many people we've talked to who have already decided basically that they're going to come back.
Sure.
Whether it's first timers or repeat people. Why do you think that's important?
Well, first off, Boston has such a tradition, and there's so many runners who are lucky enough to come back year after year after year. A good friend of mine from home has run it. This was her 15th year in a row to run it. So it's got such tradition and pomp, and the pageantry of the event is so special, unlike so many other marathons in the world. And so runners who are lucky enough to run Boston come back year after year no matter what. And there are a few times when people, like the weather last year, they say, oh, I'm not going to run it this year, I'm not going to go. But I think those who were here this year said, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to come back. I'm going to run it again. And so the lady that I ran a good part of the race with yesterday asked me this morning, are you coming back next year? And I said, well, if I qualify. And she said, oh, you'll be here. And I said, well, if I can be here, I'll be here.
What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Paul Carmona, and I'm from Austin, Texas.
Carmona?
Carmona.
Is there a big Austin contingent here?
It's about 200.
Okay.
There are about 200 runners from Austin.
Yeah. Ma'am, can I ask you, I don't know if you want to talk or if you'd rather not weigh in, but given how close you were to what happened, any chance you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, she's got a lot more detail than I do.
I'd like to see your photos too. Oh,